MZTV.
Welcome everybody, this is Martin Zender and you're at MZTV, and this week I'm going to finish talking about the newest 3 books to come out by yours truly. That would be The Lie of Every Man's Battle, Shaga, can't wait to tell you about that tomorrow, and the first novel I ever wrote, Goddess of Nazareth. Fascinating novel. Can't wait to tell you about that at the end of the week. But for now, I want to read a couple of excerpts from The Lie of Every Man's Battle. I'm going to read my first statement of the book and Heidi Culpo's first statement of the book. Heidi Culpo, my co-author, invaluable input. This is why I want both men and women to buy this book. This book is a revelation a page, and as is my usual style, it's easy to read. It's funny, it's sharp, it moves along. It's a page turner. I consider it a page turner. Hard to make a theological book a page turner, but if anybody can do it, I can, and I do. Don't mind if I say so. And so, please order this book for your peace of mind, for the peace of mind of your kids. Men, buy this book for your sons. I'm telling you, freedom, religious freedom, sounds like license to sin, but it's just the opposite. It's the law that creates that need, that want to sin, to go against it. It's religious prohibitions, like don't touch that, don't look at that, don't do this, don't, that creates kids who, when they get out of the house, are crazy to do the very things that were prohibited. You make these things common, you make them normal, you make them natural, you celebrate what God has done with the creation of the sexes, and you will produce normal children. You will produce healthy children who grow up to have healthy relationships. My kids, my 3 boys, all have healthy relationships, and if you can believe this, every February I took them out to purchase the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. That's right. I figured, why ignore the fact that women wear bikinis? Why ignore it? Why ignore it? So I took my boys when they were like 12, 13, and the hormones were starting to travel around the system. We went to the bookstore, bought the magazine, looked at it together, and then we finished the evening with fried shrimp at Red Lobster. My wife, Marcia, hated it. Why are you doing this? Well, because the evidence is out there for you to see. My kids are well adjusted. I didn't make sex weird. I didn't make it some taboo topic. I didn't make it something that they weren't comfortable to talk about. And so by discussing these things with your children, being open with them about it, that's the surest way to produce good citizens and good future mates for their future husbands or wives. I told you that Clyde gave me a great commendation on the back of this book, and he did. Quote, "Let healing between the sexes begin. Zender and Culpo lay spiritual and commonsensical waste to the Christian lie that makes male appreciation of feminine beauty a sin." Can you believe that? Only Satan would devise something so devious and diabolical as making male appreciation of feminine beauty a sin. But today, the move, even in churches, especially in churches, is to feminize men. But we know it's a giant political movement too today, this homogenization of the genders. No man's supposed to be really male. They call it toxic masculinity today. Toxic masculinity. What do they call toxic masculinity? Simply being male. And here are these moronic writers, Stephen Arterburn and Fred Stoker, in their book Every Man's Battle, going along long before the political movement started. They're saying that God is saying that the problem is masculinity. No, the problem is not masculinity. The problem is religion. The problem is Stephen Arterburn and Fred Stoker, who should be embarrassed to have written Every Man's Battle. They're not, of course. They're flying high. Well, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. They will be ashamed of this book at the Great White Throne, where they will appear. I promise you a conversation recorded in this book between a man and his favorite sexual organ, and I'm going to do that. But first, I want to read to you the first words, the foreword, from me and then my co-author, Heidi Culpo, who I remind you is a mother, a wife, a mother of four, a very astute observer of human beings, and a pretty good writer in her own right. But this is me in the foreword of the book, The Lie of Every Man's Battle. Satan has hijacked human sexuality and used it against the race so effectively that a majority of people, especially religious ones and those affected by religious ones, despise the very way that God has made them. Satan, through the agency of religion, has succeeded in making a majority of the race ashamed of the very hormones coursing through their bodies and making them who they are. And what has God made them? Male and female. Humans are primarily identified by their gender. When a baby is born, the first question asked is it a boy or a girl? Gender is so central to our identity that upon the creation of the race, it's the first thing noted by God. Quoting Genesis 1:27 now, so Elohim created humanity in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created it. Male and female, he created them. The Lie of Every Man's Battle refutes a popular Christian book by Stephen Arterburn and Fred Stoker called Every Man's Battle. Arterburn and Stoker's book essentially tells men that they are in a battle for their moral and spiritual lives simply by virtue of God having made them male. The battle created by these writers, they created it, God didn't, is the battle of a man against his lust, that is desire, that's what the word lust means in the Greek, desire, for the opposite sex. Well, this is probably a good place to let my readers know that I'm focusing primarily on the desires of men for women, because that's what Arterburn and Stoker's book focuses on. The book unscripturally condemns men for obeying their natures, and it teaches them to do ridiculous things against that nature, such as bouncing their eyes. In fact, there's a specific chapter in Every Man's Battle dedicated to teaching men how to bounce their eyes from feminine beauty. Absolutely outrageous and ridiculous, but all it takes is 6 weeks, so say the authors. I wrote a book refuting this because I hated the condemnation that was being heaped upon men. I not only hated it for the men, but also for the women who could not help but be adversely affected by their men striving to squelch a natural God-given bent. The ensuing pressure on men, felt all around, eventually harms rather than helps both sexes. Nothing has ever helped when religious prohibitions that were never authorized by God repress natural human inclinations. Such prohibitions may work for 5 minutes or 5 months or maybe even 5 years. But when the volcano finally does erupt, and it always does, the emotional and spiritual fallout is considerable. This is so avoidable. My desire is for males and females to live peaceably with one another. Stranger things have happened. Those are my opening comments in the book, The Lie of Every Man's Battle. And now for the first time, the words of Heidi Culpo will be read publicly here on MZTV. This is an historic event. The words of this wise woman have never been repeated, shared before on any other platform, in any other universe. Here we go. Perhaps, Heidi Culpo, perhaps you have been married for years. Perhaps you have only recently married, and you have discovered that it is much more difficult than you expected. Many of the arguments you have with your spouse arise, no doubt, around the topic of sex. There is help for you in the Word of God. I hope that this book, which quotes hundreds of scriptural passages, will set you free from the bondage of unnecessary legalism and help you to understand your spouse and to then bond with him or her in a deeper way. In order for this to happen, you must be willing to let the Lord take you to a deep place within yourself and heal you from whatever has damaged both your sexuality and your very self. It was not long ago that the Lord took my husband and me to a low place. In this place, a place that seemed terrible at the time, God stripped us of our self-reliance and religiosity. This opened our eyes to heretofore hidden truth, things that were in the Bible for a very long time, but that we suddenly became aware of. The Lord used trial to bring us to an awareness of our need for Him. I earnestly pray that God does this for you. I pray that God will open you to whatever He would have you to know from the reading of this book. I honestly believe that the truths found here will change your married life, beginning with the world of sex. That was Heidi Culpo, and that was so good that I am going to continue to read to you. I don't often do this. I often just speak extemporaneously, spontaneously even, outrageously sometimes. But I want to read more of what Heidi says. To me, that this is one of the best passages in the book. One of the best passages happens to be written by Heidi Culpo. Listen to this. This makes so much sense. Maybe I won't get past this today. No, I have to, because you have to. You're dying for the conversation between a man and his penis. I understand this. But listen to this. This is so helpful. I need you to hear this. This is Heidi Culpo in The Lie of Every Man's Battle. Appreciation of female. Makes so much sense. When I read this, my mind was blown. I said, this is perfect. I never could have written this. Heidi wrote it. It's perfect. Okay, calm down. Calm down, Zender. Stay focused. Here it is. Appreciation of female beauty begins at birth. When women find out that there is a baby girl to buy clothes for, they laugh and say, "Oh, this will be so much fun." After having 2 boys, my sister found out that she was expecting a girl. Did people tell her that the new baby could get by with just a few drab outfits like her boys did? Nope. The clothes started coming in by the boatload. Ruffles, bows, shoes, dresses, and every kind of girly outfit imaginable started filling the drawers and closet. There was no shame at this early stage about demonstrating and celebrating female beauty. Try this statement on for size. The only reason that baby girls are put into frills and other adornments is so that they will be seen as good future wives and mothers. I hope that sentence makes you laugh derisively, because it's ridiculous. These little girls are dressed so that they will be appreciated by others as pretty. Since all this prettiness is removed from the context of sex, other women are happy to celebrate the little girl's beauty. Now I turn the page. So why is it that as soon as they develop breasts, long legs, hips, and curves, these young women are made to feel ashamed for the very same beauty? What a question. This is brilliant. The same friends and relations who coo-cooed over the young girl now may potentially become envious of her and even despise her for her sexuality. Yet is it not God who has caused these girls to bud like the opening of a flower? Why would the early beauty be considered pure, while the latter beauty sinful or evil? In God's sight, the bud is pretty, but the mature flower displays the true glory of womanhood. Let the flower bloom. Somewhere along the blossoming process, however, someone, continues Heidi Culpo, someone, almost always a religious parent, swoops in and convinces the newly blossomed woman that she is to be ashamed of herself for having what it takes to turn heads. I am speaking chiefly concerning fathers now. Fathers, listen to this. Girls crave attention from their fathers, and the girls who get it are far less likely to make wrong relationship choices later in life. This is my comment. This is written by a wife and a mother of 4, 3 boys and a girl. Girls crave attention from their fathers, and the girls who get it are far less likely to make wrong relationship choices later in life. In a healthy family, fathers appreciate the beauty of their daughters, no matter what the girl's age. No girl would think less of her daddy for saying, "You look so beautiful today." What girl doesn't crave this sort of attention from the most important man in her life? Heidi continues, in my opinion, the misunderstanding and condemnation concerning sex and sexual attraction begins early in childhood. Parents decide whether their children will eventually consider sex a God-given joy or a guilt-producing burden. Here is where healthy teaching about sex and beauty must begin. But if the parents themselves fail to grasp God's design and affirmation of human sexuality, then how can things not go wrong? I think that even a 2-year-old knows when he or she has been shamed. It is usually in the bathtub where these young children first begin exploring their sexual organs. One slap on the hand and a no from either mommy or daddy could begin a lifelong struggle with sexual guilt and shame. The potential disaster courted by sexual misinformation increases exponentially with the onset of puberty. Listen to this. As young children, girls celebrate their femininity. They comb each other's hair, look at pictures of women in magazines, experiment with makeup, and dress up. They love to impress their friends with how pretty they look. Girls even enjoy bathing and using the toilet together. It is in us women. This is coming from a woman, Heidi Culpo, writing this. It is in us women, even as young girls, to be proud of our bodies. I have heard many women say that they take special care to dress up ahead of a special time with girlfriends. If women not only enjoy, but cannot seem to help looking at each other, why are we so quick to blame men for looking at us? I plead with my female readers to get back in touch with the little girl inside of them that finds great pleasure in looking beautiful. I am guessing that this innocent, joyful person is alive and well. It is God who made you want to see and display beauty. Why do we, as adults, feel the need to squelch this? I blame it on religion, not on God, mind you, but on the systems invented by human beings that attach God's name to their personal hang-ups. What a sentence. The religions that attach God's name to their personal hang-ups. Shame on them, how dare they? I continue with Heidi Culpo. I can't help it. This is so good. Before the age when girls are told that their breasts and hips, which God created to be intriguing, were evil, they did what they could to be noticed. Before the age when boys are made to think that their God-given reaction to female beauty is unholy and wrong, they enjoyed how God made them. It seems that all one has to do to turn a lovely, feminine situation bad and a joyful, feminine situation into sin is to add the male counterpart to the sexual mix. That is the erection. The erection. Everything is fine, it seems, until the hard penis shows up. Now we have just turned what was pure and holy into a, quote, nasty scene, unquote, unfit to exist in God's holy world. But why? Girls grow up to have breasts, hips, and shapely legs. Boys grow up to have erections. Is not God the maker and planner of all this? By calling what God made good evil, we risk ruining our children for life and creating self-fulfilling prophecies. I believe that the girl inside of a woman and the boy inside of a man is where the true righteousness of God is displayed. In order to understand God's plan, a childlike faith is necessary. That's childlikeness, not childishness. No one is jeopardizing anyone's maturity here. Those who grasp God's truths the most are those who revert to the simple faith and love from childhood of a great, glorious, and loving God. Here's the last paragraph of this section. This is all Heidi Culpo, wife and mother of 4. It has occurred to me that men, at least, do not deny their God-given natures for very long. No man encounters long-term success with bouncing his eyes from feminine beauty, unless he joins a monastery where no women exist. Women, on the other hand, squelch their desires to be beautiful, sexy, and admired by the opposite sex. This holier-than-thou attitude, excuse me, but it infuriates me, eventually drives the women themselves crazy and the men into porn. Congratulations, we've created life-draining guilt for everyone. Can we solve this problem once and for all? Yes, says Heidi Culpo. Can we solve this problem once and for all? Asks Heidi. Her answer on the page 37 of the Live Every Man's Battle, yes. And the solving of the problem is in the reading of this book and the understanding of this book. Okay, to close here, the long-awaited penis conversation. If you don't like the word penis, you're going to be in big trouble here because I think I use it about 21 times. So if you're squeamish about it, check out now. I'll give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to end with this statement by yours truly. In the book, page 179, I make some profound statements here, I must say. God made penises. That's the first profound statement. Most penises are smarter than their owners. Penises don't belong to religions. Remember, it was Martin Zender who told you this. Penises are non-denominational. That's a good one. Penises are non-denominational. Okay. Penises don't feel the need to read Every Man's Battle. Not one vagina in history has ever handed a copy of Every Man's Battle to a penis and said, "Here, read it." This is because penises and vaginas are the way God made them to be. They're the way they are by the grace and design of God. It takes a religious owner to screw this up. The lucky penis, whose owner is religion-free, just kind of hangs there, being a penis, and being continually aware and in awe of its wonderful creator and of the beauty of women and their vaginas. When a penis perceives a beautiful woman, it wants to get hard, and sometimes does. Why does it do that? Gee, ask me a hard question. If the penis does not get hard, it cannot enter the vagina of the beautiful woman. This is a God-given biological process. Oh, yes, it is. All the penis knows is, quote, "Good Lord, look at that woman, will you? She's so beautiful. Are we going to go inside her? I want to. I'll just go ahead and get ready just in case." The moral owner of such a penis, all penises are such a penis, will reason with it. It happens all the time. "No, penis. I know you're just trying to be helpful, but this woman is off limits to us." "How come?" the penis will ask. "Because there's a wonderful woman at home for us." "You're right. I knew that. Are you mad at me?" "How can I be? You're doing what God made you to do." "I'm glad you see it that way. I'm not mad at you either. I just thought I should be ready. That's what I do." "I know. Relax." "Do you mean that literally?" "Yes, I do." "Well, okay." "See, I knew you could do it, penis. We've got everything under control." "That did feel good for a second, though." "Of course it did. It always feels good. It's a wonderful feeling." "Would you say it's the best feeling in the world?" "Yes, penis, I would." "I'm glad you don't condemn me." "Well, I'm glad that you listened to me." "God made us both the way we are." "Yes, including our essential God-given conscience." Oh, the conscience. It's the God-given conscience, and it's the Spirit of God within you that keeps you. Ladies and gentlemen, men and women, this is me now, Martin Zender. I put the book down. Now I'm talking to you directly as I close this show. It is the conscience and the Spirit of God within you that while these natural things are happening, while the desire is there constantly, the desire is there, you don't act on it. If you acted on your every sexual whim, this would be a miserable, chaotic world. You just don't do it. Of course you don't do it. But these morons who wrote Every Man's Battle, they condemn the processes. They condemn the very fact that men look at women and appreciate their beauty. They condemn the very fact that a man's favorite sex organ rises in anticipation of the possibility of entering into a vagina. But the moral owner of such a penis says, no, this vagina is off limits to us. Hey, there's the conscience kicking in. But these morons who wrote this other book, they think that, oh, the first flutter of appreciation, it inevitably leads to rape, or it inevitably leads to, banging the woman in the grocery store. You notice a beautiful woman in the grocery store. Oh, she sure is pretty. Boy, I'd love to have sex with that woman. Oh, according to these morons, that inevitably leads to you laying the woman down in the frozen food section and putting it to her. This is absolutely ridiculous. James Dobson thought the same thing. Dobson used to say that one look at porn and the next thing you know, you'll be dismembering women in your basement. Yes, you'll be a serial killer like Ted Bundy. These people do not trust the Spirit of God at all. And this says a lot about them, that they can't trust themselves at all. And so in order to be moral, they have to get rid of all stimuli. They have to get rid of even looking. Why don't you just go to a monastery? Oh, isn't it great that the monks in the monastery, they refrain from looking at women? What a great accomplishment. No, it sucks. It's no accomplishment because there are no women there. There's no temptation. What opportunity is there for the Spirit of God to act if a man's in a monastery? This is the great thing. The great thing isn't that a monk in a monastery doesn't lust after women. The great thing is that, say, a man working for Sports Illustrated and photographing swimsuit models for that particular edition goes home to his wife. Ah, there's the Spirit of God. There's the conscience. The guy's looking at gorgeous women, perfect women all day. And when he's done with his job, he goes home to his wife. That's great. Yeah. The Spirit of God is operating in that guy more, even if he's an unbeliever, operating in him more than it is in these idiotic Christians who apparently don't trust their conscience, don't trust the Spirit of God, or apparently maybe they're so evil because they're Christians that they would instinctively, at the first flutter of feminine appreciation, go after the woman and nail her in the frozen food section. Well, maybe they would. Maybe that's why they can't even look. They can't even look. It's so ridiculous. I can't even look. Why? You don't trust God that much? You don't trust yourself that much? One look and you're going to leave your wife? One look at a beautiful woman at the grocery store and you're going to nail her in the frozen food section and leave your wife? What kind of moron are you? I look at women with appreciation all the time. Do I do anything about it? No. No. Because I have a God-given conscience and I have the Spirit of God dwelling in me. Folks, religionists will screw you every time. It takes a religionist to mess up the most beautiful thing God made, which is males and females and the corresponding sexual parts that are just wonderfully designed, meant to go together in certain cases, but always meant to be appreciated. It's nature. Don't squelch nature. As soon as you try to do it, something's going to go. Something's going to blow. And it's going to be ugly. And it's much better to appreciate the beauty and to understand that God made it and meant it to be appreciated than to kill your natural desires because somewhere down the road, you're going to blow.